Hello fishing friends, this is Matthew with Outfishing 13 bringing you another reel service and repair video. Today I'm going to show you how to service the newest Zebco 888. Let's get started. Alright, here's my Zebco 888. This is a brand new reel. I'm just going to take it apart, show you how to take it apart and service it and put it all back together. Now this particular reel, let me show you out of the box here, some of the features of it. It has all metal gears, stainless steel front cover, has 3 bearings, 2 plus a clutch, and it has instant anti-reverse clutch and a patented no-tangle design, which every Zebco reel, the spin cast reel, comes with. It comes pre-spooled with 25-pound test, has a big crank on it. This reel is good for fishing for all kinds of your big freshwater fish. And I've seen guys on YouTube that have caught some really big flathead or blue cats with it. It's a good strong reel. It has a metal foot here, and a very strong reel all around. You might want to take and spool it with different line, as this line tends to have been on there for a while and has quite a bit of memory in it. So let's take this apart. One of the things that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be adding another bearing to it and make this actually a 3+1 bearing. Let me just caution you before you get started on this reel, the anti-reverse clutch in this is tedious. If you don't have to take it all the way apart to service your reel, don't take it all apart, because it can be very tricky to get this back together. There's 5 little springs and 5 little roller bearings in the clutch. It's built into the handle here, which is one of the nice things, that this has a bite alert. And with that instant anti-reverse. But if you lose one of those little springs, you're going to end up buying a new parts for this, or sending it back to Zebco. So let's get into this and take it apart and service it. You'll basically need a screwdriver, some needle nose pliers, and maybe a little tiny screwdriver to take it all apart with and put it back together. So the first thing we want to do is we want to take the front apart like any Zebco reel. Let's take this line keeper off. This screws off. You want to push in the button to get this. It has the spinner cone has 2 big ceramic pickup pins, which is pretty nice. To take off the spinner cone, you just hold the handle and spin that off. Next thing we want to do is we want to take off the spool. So using a screwdriver, catch that E-clip right there and take that out and take it all the way off. Take off this stainless steel drag washer and the fiber drag washer. Okay, there's one on the back here. Notice that they're lubed. When you put it back together, you'll want to put it back together with lube. This washer right here is cupped. It can only go on one way, so the cup needs to go down. And then there's the drag gear, and then a washer that's a spring washer. It is also has a key on it, so you want to make sure that gets put back there the right way. So we're going to keep those 2 together, but it's made so that it can put some pressure on there. Next, you just want to take out this little drag gear, because it's going to fall out anyways. I would not recommend taking out this drag wheel out at this time, because there's a little tiny spring right there that's a clicker, and it has little springs in it, and it can come out and be a pain to try to put back together. Next, we need to take off the handle to get the back cover out, so just use a big screwdriver. Okay, and this slides off like that. This is going to probably fall off, so take and lift it up to the flat spots and then take it out. Taking this back part apart can be pretty tricky. If you just want to super tune it, all you have to do is take out this plastic bushing right here and replace it with your stainless steel bearing. And that's all you need to do to super tune this. And then you can put it all back together, lube the gear, and you're done. I'm going to show you how to take this completely apart so that we can completely service it and clean it all up if this got, say, dunked in water. So what you want to do is you want to take out this bearing keeper right here. We've already taken out the bushing. We need to take out this bearing right here. It wants to be stubborn. There we go. Notice that this is not a sealed bearing. The one I'm going to be adding today is a sealed bearing. But if you called up Zebco, you could order one of these bearings that came on this side and it would fit on that side. They're the same size. Okay, the next thing that you want to do is, this can be kind of tricky to take out, but if you take and you pick this up, it just feels like it's not going to come out. But if you go ahead and wiggle it around, it'll come out. Okay, just like that. Okay, this is where the anti-reverse is. It's this part right here. And I'll show you how to put it back together, but my advice is unless you need to clean this up, don't take it apart. But if you have to, let me show you. You want to turn it upside down and let it drop off right like that. So all these little bearings are in there. And then what you want to do is there's a little small shim washer here. Take that off. And then there's this race right here that goes, this square on the inside goes over there. You want to take and put that in there and keep this together. Unless this is all dirty, do not take it apart. It goes together just like this, where this little pointed flat part is pointed this way and this is pointed up this way, just like that. Okay. All right, now we have that all apart there. We can take this out and we can service this bearing as we need to. This bearing right here is actually a little bit smaller than the main shaft bearings. Okay. And then if we need to take this out, which I'm going to because it makes it easier to put this back together, you just take this little piece out right there, that little keeper, and then this piece right here, you turn it around and push in the clicker, and then it comes out just like that. Okay. Like I said, I would not take this out at this point in time. I'm not going to take mine out, but if you do, it has a little tiny this little tiny spring thing there. It has a spring and two little cups, and I'm just going to leave it in there. But if you need to take yours apart for cleaning, carefully take that apart. Carefully take out that little clicker. Otherwise, just leave it in there. Clean up everything, and then we're going to start putting it back together. Okay, now that we're ready to start putting the Zebco 888 back together, let me talk about the anti-reverse, because it's one of the most complex anti-reverses that there are on a Zebco, and it can be very tedious to put back together if you get to this point and you've removed this big anti-reverse ring and the anti-reverse actuator or pawl, and it has 5 little springs and 5 little roller pinions in there. I want you to take a look at this right here. This is the way it should look when it's all assembled from the outside. So let's take a look. So I'm going to turn it over upside down like this and take this off. And I have this little ring right here. So I want you to let's take a close-up of this. Okay. So here's the 5 little roller bearings. And then here's the little spring. So let me take this apart very carefully. Okay. It helps if you put just a tiny bit of grease on these bearings, but see, I have one bearing out. I'm not going to take them all off, but let's take a look at this again very closely, because this is a part that a lot of guys are going to ask about. All you need to do is make sure that these little springs get pushed in there. I use a little screwdriver to push it in there, and then you can take this little roller bearing and set it right up in there. Okay. Just like that. See how that has a little bit of spring tension on it? Just like that. With this, in this position where this comes and looks, it goes like this, you can see those little cams, the little ramps. There's a little hole, divot there, and then a ramp that goes up to the next little divot. So what we want to do is we want to take and carefully put this on where those little divots are. And just work it. Just carefully kind of wiggle it back and forth and get those bearings in there. Just like that, okay? It won't lock in place now, but you need to take and put this centering in here, and then it will lock. And see, I've got my anti-reverse pawl going this direction. When this is working properly, let me show you how it works here. Those little roller bearings will go up on the ramp, and they'll lock in place just like that. And then they'll spring back. See how they spring back like that? That's how they should work. And what it helps is it helps if you lock this in place like so. That kind of locks that centering in there. And keeping your finger on there very carefully, line up the main pinion. It has 4 flat sides on it, and that needs to slip down there like that. And then in this position right here, it's ready to go back together. The first thing we want to do is put this back together. So if you've washed everything down, you'll want to take and oil this bearing here. We'll want to put a little bit of grease on the shaft, just a tiny thin layer, and put that back together here. Okay, and this is going to be just like this. So with the anti-reverse clicker and lever out of the way, this is fairly easy to put back together. You just have to take and slide it down in there just like that. Okay, we're going to put the bearings in. So we have this. Need to make sure we put this little shim on there, and then we're going to go ahead and put this back in there. We're going to put a little bit of oil on this bearing, and my new bearing, I'm going to go ahead and put oil on it too. So put this bearing back in, and what you can do to seat it on there is take it, your handle screw, and use that to seat it down though. So we'll go in there, and it should just click into place. Either you're going to put your bushing back. Today I'm going to put a bearing in mine and seat that in there like so. Okay, there. So you want to put it together so that the clicker is pointed just like that. There's a little groove that goes in there, and just get that through, and then turn it, and it'll seat in there just like that. See that? And then you need to turn it so that you can go ahead and get this little keeper in there. It's kind of a little bit of a pain, but you can get in there. You just got to turn it so it lines things up in there. Get the little keeper in there. And then it seats down all the way like that, and then you can test it out. Once you have it back together at this point, you can test the anti-reverse. With the lever up, it's in bait alert. When the lever is down and that clicker right there is out of the way, it's in anti-reverse. Okay, let's take our handle, put that on there, and the anti-reverse works perfectly. Turn the bait alert on, up, You can hear the clicker go this way, and it free spools perfectly back this way. All right, we can finish putting it all back together now. We go ahead and we're going to grease this gear. So you just want to put a light coating of your favorite gear lube on there. So by greasing up the big gear, that will grease up the pinion gear as well. I'm going to take the button. The button goes on like this. It has two little flat spots, and then you can set it down there. The back just goes ahead and slides on like so, and that's back together. And then to hold it on, you can go ahead and at this point you can put the handle on and screw it on. Okay, now we're ready to put the front together. But what we want to do here is go ahead and put this in there and make sure it seats all the way down in there, just like that. We're just going to put a little bit of grease on it. Then we're going to put some grease right here, thin coat, because that's where the ramps for the drag go. Put the drag wheel on so it's all the way loose. There's a big spot right there in that drag gear right there. This is all coat of grease on here. And then this spring washer it's keyed, it goes just like that. Okay, and then this washer right here, this is the one that's cupped. The cup goes down like so, and then you take and put on this fiber washer. Put a little bit of grease first, just a light coating, and then put this on, another light coating of grease, and then you can put this spool on. Okay. Some more grease right here. Your drag washer, some grease, and then the keyed drag washer. And then you can put this on. It only goes on one way, so put a little bit of pressure down on it, and then slide this on and lock it into place. It should be just like that, and that little E-clip is all put in. Next, we want to service this. All I do is I just put a drop of oil here, a drop of oil here, and I put some grease right here. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of grease on there from when it was assembled. I really like these new spinner cones that Zebco has designed. The springs are all hidden, and you don't have any problems if the line actually gets behind here of getting caught in and ruining one of those springs. Go ahead and spin that back on, hold the handle and tighten it up. We want to test the drag. It's really loose right now, and we want to tighten it up. This has a lot of adjustment in it. It can be pretty loose and it can be pretty tight. So that's working well. Thread the line through the cap. And it helps if you push the button in and cock it. Get those pins out of the way, or else they will get in the way. Put it on good and snug, and it's all ready to go. Just going to test it out. Draw some line. And there you go. I'm going to put the little keeper back on. You can use a bottle opener, like off a can for a keeper. If you save these, you'll always have a little keeper to use when you need it, when you want to store your reel for the season. So there you go. That's the Zebco, the new Zebco 888. It's a great reel. You could catch all kinds of big cats with this. I'll post below what it takes, what kind of bearing it takes, but you can always get the schematics from Zebco and order another bearing from this side to put on this side. Now I do have some kits. I'm selling a limited number of kits that I have available, where I do have a bearing like this available for that. So I put the link below for that if you have any questions. Thanks and have a great day. Bye.